Well, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta say, the cope that's coming out from Bud Light is quite hilarious considering that we are well over 2 months into this supposed boycott, and now they are feeling the damage so much that they essentially have shill media websites trying to come out with articles essentially defending Bud Light and trying to explain their downfall just off as, oh, people just don't want to drink beer anymore. That's essentially what they're trying to say. Washington Post just recently came out with an article essentially saying that, oh, people are not buying Bud Light because they're just not wanting to buy beer anymore. It is such an absolute shill article, and we're going to get into it, guys. But of course, before we do, just consider giving this video a like to push us out into the YouTube algorithm, and consider subscribing because we're on our way to 25,000 subscribers. So this article comes today from Outkick, and it says, Bud Light sales have plunged because people don't like beer anymore. Washington Post says, I cannot wait to read this because this sounds like absolute fucking coke. It says Bud Light sales have plunged every week since Anheuser-Busch plastered transgender grifter Dylan Mulvaney on a can in April, and the reason why is pretty simple. The majority of sane Americans don't want politics and agendas pushed on them, especially when they're drinking beer. They also don't like women being mocked for not knowing sports. Crazy, I know. What's even crazier, however, is the spin that Washington Post put on the plummeting numbers earlier this week. Buckle up and brace yourselves for this little gem. Welcome to the spin zone. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you are paid and bought for. Washington Post is absolutely paid and bought for, and they are trying to shill for Bud Light right now because they were paid to do so. I would guarantee you that, nearly at 100% guarantee, simply because we've seen examples of this before. This is what happens when these corporations are bought and paid for. They're going to put out articles that are complete and utter nonsense. You mean to tell me that people don't want to buy beer anymore? People don't want to drink beer anymore, but that somehow is only affecting Bud Light while everybody else is seeing an increase in sales from anywhere from 5 to 20%, and Bud Light is seeing a loss anywhere from 20 to 30%, and that's just because people generally don't want to drink any more beer, but they somehow just chose Bud Light to be the one that they're going to stop drinking magically out of nowhere. Like, come on, man. Are you seriously trying to convince me that this is a thing? So it says, you read that right. While the Bud Light boycott, which has been so overwhelming that it knocked the beer off the top spot for sales in May, hello Modelo, has certainly caused a dent in sales, and that's not the only reason. Nope, another huge factor in Bud Light's demise is the fact that people don't like domestic beer anymore. Hell, that's news to me. From the Washington Post, it says, while recent events may have affected Bud Light sales, broad market trends were favoring Modelo even before the Mulvaney controversy. Dave Williams, vice president of analytics and insider Bump Williams, told the Washington Post in an email. Consumers might be moving away from Bud Light because expanding the customer base for the U.S. domestic beer continues to be a struggle for brewers, Williams said. Honestly, that's fair, I guess. Modelo is a popular beer and has certainly been coming for the top spot for a while now. Acting like that's the reason Bud Light sales have cratered is hilarious, but whatever, I'll keep reading. Here's when things get a bit crazy, and this is where, again, ladies and gentlemen, you gotta realize that they don't really mean what they're saying here, right? They don't mean what they're saying. This article is simply meant to showcase some sort of defense for Bud Light, whether they were paid to do so, whether they're trying to maintain their access, whatever the case may be. Washington Post decided to put out this article. Maybe one of their investors is Anheuser-Busch. Who knows? But they put out this article shilling for Bud Light, and here comes the absolute nonsense. So it says, according to the Post analysis, about 80% of America's beer imports are from Mexico, up from 17% in early 1990s. Months before the Bud Light boycott, observers predicted that Modelo would overtake Bud Light as the country's top-selling beer by 2030. Well, think about that for a second and how hilarious that is. So they were supposed to take over the top spot by 2030, and yet it happened 7 years earlier, ladies and gentlemen. You think that just happened magically out of the blue? No. Obviously, the boycott has exacerbated that and has expedited that tremendously to the point where now Modelo Special is the #1 beer in the United States, and Bud Light is not the #1 beer. And that was to be expected considering what was going on in the climate. So it says Bud Light is still very much the #1 beer brand based on sales year to date, but not month to date. Williams said in his email, noting that the beer brand has been steadily dominant in sales since 2001. However, if current trends were to continue at their most recent pace, then there is a chance that Modelo could surpass Bud Light and become the #1 beer brand ranked in sales by the end of 2023, he added. Well, that seems like a smoking gun to me. Modelo going from maybe surpassing Bud Light as the #1 beer in America in 7 years to possibly definitely overtaking it in 7 months is a pretty wild swing, and that's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, if you were trying to make this seem as it's anything other than what it actually is, you're doing a disservice, Washington Post. You are doing a disservice not only to your readers, and I know you don't really care about, this is why you put out stupid show articles like this, and you're doing a disservice to the overall general populace. Like, everybody knows that you're full of crap, and you know what? Maybe the only saving grace is that people can see how full of crap you actually are when you come out with certain articles, because we can see exactly where you align. You're on the side of lying, and I don't really know why you're on the side of lying, but you are, and it really hasn't helped you dramatically in terms of finances or anything like that. All it's done is made you look like a shill, and that's exactly what you look like now. It says, gee, what in the world could have caused that? I'd bet it was the ongoing outrage at the Bud Light for celebrating Dylan Mulvaney, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe as the Post opines, it could be because Americans just don't like drinking domestic beer anymore. Because if there's one thing us Americans don't like, it's domestic beer. Haven't you heard? Everybody's commenting, nice spin. Everybody's saying, is this the Babylon Bee? Nice spin, nice spin. Historic, never before seen drop in sales, revenue, and volume, but sure, it wasn't backlash. People just don't like beer anymore. You will all beyond ridiculous. Again, I'm not surprised that this is a thing, ladies and gentlemen. Do not be shocked if you do not see more articles like this come up, because at the end of the day, they're paid to put this out. They're paid to protect the brand and the image of said brand. And if they're on their payroll, then yes, they're going to do everything they can to protect the brand. So, of course, Modelo absolutely destroyed Bud Light, and Bud Light is supposedly the only one that people count as domestic beer now and have decided to stop drinking domestic beer, all because of some random reason, according to Washington Post. But me and you, the creator of this video and the viewer of this video, both know exactly just how full of shit these people are, Washington Post, and you really should be ashamed of yourself for spinning such an absolute nonsensical story, the likes of which I haven't seen in quite a while. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.